What's up, guys? I'm SaltEMike, and this is your Star Citizen Week in Review for March 2nd, 2020. You're probably going to see this on March 3rd, 2020, especially if you're in Europe. We're just running a little bit late this week. I apologize, but jumping right into it, we had a pretty busy week, especially for the patch notes. We had 4 patches this week. 3 PTU patches, PTU E, F, and G, and 3.8.2 Live. I'm really only going to discuss 3.8.2 Live as these later PTU patches are just fixing very minor bugs and lighting issues, nothing really worth discussing. But the 3.8.2 Live patch brings persistence to Star Citizen for our ship purchases, our Alpha UEC, our FPS weapons and armor purchases, and maybe a couple other things that I'm missing there. But the big takeaway here is that they persisted our data from 3.8.1 to 3.8.2, and I was expecting, I think a lot of people are expecting a wipe, then play. And to my surprise, it was not that way, and that's very, very exciting. This is a major pillar for Star Citizen to have some persistence. Now we just need to see some gameplay and some real tangible reasons to play Star Citizen, which we don't quite have yet. So now we have that major pillar of persistence. I'm so excited and so looking forward to seeing what we see for 3.9, 4.0, 4.1, and 4.2 for the remainder of the year of 2020, now that we have this major milestone pillar here. Moving on to roadmap updates, we had a kind of a negative one where we had a lot of things kind of move or disappear from the roadmap. Starting out with FPS Combat Behaviors version 2. I think this is for AI to use different types of weapons, grenades, things like that. It's been removed for now to get additional feedback. It's one of those things where they temporarily are going to remove it and then bring it back onto the roadmap. They are very excited to share that the Anvil Carrack is for sale. It's available to you, but it, again, is very much for sale. So, and it is very expensive. So it is a ship that is selling like hotcakes. It is a very cool ship on the interior. Very, very cool ship to fly. I've enjoyed my time with the Anvil Carrack. And yeah, it's one of those, as they get more experience building ships, they get better at it. And the Carrack kind of stinks and is really great all at the same time, because as they get better, they make better ships, but the ships that you purchased previously just don't hold up to par, right? So it's one of those really cool things. I love to see their progress, and it's just disappointing that not everything lives up to the Carrack. It's so nice internally. I love it. Moving on, we have Eddie Parr. This is a mission giver that is going to be temporarily removed from the roadmap. Basically, the team that works on prisons, Luke Presley and his team, they are working on prisons, so they don't have enough time to work in this mission giver. But honestly, it's not like mission givers have been really working as intended anyway. There's been so many issues with them since their implementation. I don't think adding another one is going to help, right? I think getting what we have here working and feeling right, and we're going to talk a little bit about this in a little while. I think that's better. And that's basically what goes on in the next part of the update. New and updated missions. So we have a new Pacheco mission, which should be really cool. And the Miles series of missions should finally be working properly with an Idris at the end. We saw some of this data, I think, in the 3.7 data mining patches, and I think it was even in the description of the missions with Miles, but we never saw the Idris at the end of that cycle because it wasn't available in game, and now it apparently will be. I don't know. I've been talking to some of my friends and other people, and we're kind of on the fence about this one, of how well this implementation will be. The Idris is one of those, it's very similar to the Carrack, where it's one of those milestone ships, and this implementation has to be really good, right? It's got to go well. The first time that people that spent $1,500 on an Idris is going to be, the first time they see it is going to be doing this mission. And I hope they get their money's worth, even though they may not be able to fly it or maybe not explore it too much. I really, that's the thing, is I hope they get their money's worth with it. Now, moving on to video updates, we are really only going to be discussing inside Star Citizen, as Star Citizen Live was another game dev Star Citizen Live. There's really not much to discuss with these, but this one was very cool. There was a lot of the Planet V4 tech discussed on this video, and just how simple it seems and how easily they were changing features on these planets. It was very cool. So it's something, if you want to watch, please take your time and go watch it. It is a very interesting video. It's just not one of those videos that is, oh, they said this, you would love to hear that, right? It was more something very cool to see and watch and take part in. So very good video, but just not one for a week in review. So again, inside Star Citizen, it was starting out with the survival mechanics and how they're going to be working in Star Citizen. And they go into just a brief overview of how Star Citizen looks at their survival mechanics.
Star Citizen's not really a survival game in the traditional sense. Survival games generally kind of pin eating and drinking and staying warm at the the forefront of the gameplay. That's kind of their main game mechanics are to kind of keep yourself alive. Whereas the Star Citizen experience is so much more. It's just another addition.
Okay, I can't contain my laughter with the Star Citizen experience is so much more. I've been playing a lot of other games lately, and I'm sorry, the Star Citizen experience just doesn't hold up to these games, and they're not very highly touted games. I've been playing Conan Exiles. That's not this huge, wildly popular game, and I'm having such a great experience in it because there's so much to do. And in Star Citizen, we just don't have that. But now let's get back to the clip here. The idea of it not being in the forefront and them understanding that is a very interesting comment that he makes, and it's one of those that we won't notice and we won't be able to tell until it's in our hands. I'm very excited to be a part of 3.9's Evocati. I'm very excited to be a part of the PTU and the live experience there, and the process all the way through from, maybe this is a little bit too heavy on the survival mechanics, or maybe it's a little bit too light, and going through and giving my feedback on that. It should be really exciting. Let me know what you guys think about survival mechanics in Star Citizen. Is Star Citizen the next DayZ, or is it going to be something different? And to you, how? How it works, though, is going to be pretty interesting. So they kind of go into that subject here.
The way this works is every kind of room or planet will have an apparent temperature, which is the temperature of the planet that's then affected by humidity or wind chill, and you'll have that kind of number present to you so you kind of know what the environment's like you're in. That in turn then affects your body temperature, and if it starts to go too far out of whack, you'll either start to suffer the effects of something like hypothermia when you start getting too cold. So you might start getting sensitive to light, again, start shivering, all the stuff that you saw, the good stuff you saw at CitizenCon. And then on the other side, you've got something like hyperthermia, which is when you're getting too hot and you start getting raspy breath, your vision might start swimming a little bit. And eventually both of those conditions will result in death if you get far too cold or far too hot.
This is all pretty cool. It's a lot of debuffs. And with all the bugs that we have in game, I don't know how I feel about it yet. So again, just reach out in the comments, let me know what you guys think about that. Is there a point of doing this now, especially in the state that the alpha is in? It's not in the best one. Tons of bugs, tons of known issues on the known issues list. And now we're just going to be adding manufactured issues. It's a interesting priority to set in a game in this state. Now, they're not all debuffs, though, and they go into a little bit of the buffs that they're going to have in Star Citizen 3.9.
So you might drink some water, which will kind of keep your thirst at bay for longer. You might eat a chocolate bar that kind of gives you a bit more energy and increases your stamina regeneration. There might even be something medicinal that you can eat to, give you a small amount of health regeneration. It
seems interesting, I guess. It also does seem very quickly thrown together. A chocolate bar gives you some energy. This gives you that. It's not very in-depth. I would have loved... I guess maybe I'm looking at it from a released game experience where you have all this time to focus on, okay, this is going to be the survival patch, and we're going to put in all these things that all work together in a cohesive ecosystem. Star Citizen moves a lot slower than that, and maybe I'm just, I don't know, too salty or something. I don't know how else to describe it, but I would have liked to see more variety than a chocolate bar gives you some energy, water does this, and so on and so forth. Now, the idea of these survival mechanics do make sense to me, and it's about choice and making your choices matter. And they go into a little bit more in depth on that here.
In the same way, you want your choice to matter when you go to a planet. We want you to consider ahead, what you want to do when you're there. Like you're going to go there to go and explore outside your ship, then yeah, you'll probably want to, take a cold suit with you and some food. If you want to go to a hot planet, for example, as well, you might want to take the hot suit with you, and you might want to take a lot of drink with you, and make your decisions really matter. It just kind of rounds out the Star Citizen experience that people expect with all of these varied, massive environments to explore.
And this is the point of doing all this, is when you go to a cold planet, when you go to a hot planet, you need to have purchased and thought through your decisions before you go and do that. I think that that's kind of cool. I think that that makes a lot of sense. Now, the only thing that is a little bit weird to me is when we're in the vacuum of space. Currently, our flight suit works perfectly fine. Is there going to be a different suit that we need to wear? Is it just a cold suit, maybe? I'm curious. What do you guys think? Are there going to be effects on space inside of this actor status system? Now, the last part, I think, was, honestly, I don't know how else to say it, but just stupid filler. It was their no-go meetings and what they mean. It means if a feature isn't ready, it doesn't go. If a feature is ready, it goes. Okay, great. So moving on, moving on to miscellaneous updates. Reddit is starting to sound a lot like I have for the last 3 years. And welcome, boys. Welcome to 2020. Actually, welcome to 2018. I appreciate you being here. I've been kind of saying that ships cannot be the forefront of this game anymore. The gameplay needs to. And maybe Reddit is a little bit smarter than I am. I actually do believe that they are, in the sense that with all of the features that Star Citizen currently has at this point, it is definitely time to focus on gameplay now. And the community is definitely pushing that on the Reddit. And I'm very proud to see it. I've felt this way for a long time, but maybe the tech wasn't quite there yet. And I still wanted to hear and see and have conversations about how important the gameplay was, even though the tech wasn't there for the game. I think the idea of thinking about how this game is going to play is incredibly important, because how this game plays now, in my opinion, is not up to snuff to a lot of games out there in the world, and Star Citizen needs to be above those. That's what all this money coming in, that it sets that standard for Star Citizen for other gamers out there. Maybe we know a lot more about the game and the process and all that, but other people don't. And I think the expectations from Star Citizen are so much higher based on the visuals that they're delivering and all those things, that the gameplay has to fit with the visuals, and it currently doesn't. And in general, I think talking through and discussing and talking about what makes a great game for you and how to bring that to Star Citizen is something I've been trying to talk about with the community forever. And I hope we really start having those conversations now, because now's the time. We also had a sneak peek this week from the email newsletter, and that was just the Prowler interior. We've pretty much seen this on I think it was a Inside Star Citizen on the initial. It looks, on the initial first look at the Prowler, it looks about the same. And I guess this is a incoming, another marketing material on the ship a lot. I'm assuming it's one of those expensive ships that I'm sure they want to sell a lot of. Speaking of expensive ships, the Exploration Pack has gotten a major hike from $695 to $1,100. So congratulations, anyone who had it before. You got some additional value, I guess. Also, there's another sneak peek for concierge members. There was a sneak peek about Origin. So there's probably going to be a pretty big Origin sale, maybe another big ship, something like that, coming on the horizon. So keep your eyes out for that one. And next week, this is going to be the final thing that we talk about. Next week's SCL is a big one. It's called All About 3.9. There is a question thread up. The link will be the top link in the description below. It is very imperative that we ask good questions and upvote good questions. There are a lot of stupid questions in there, and there's a lot of questions about things that they can't answer. And those are the stupid ones, I think. And we can really ask some good questions. I asked the spacesuit question. How does the vacuum of space affect the actor status system? Will it have any effect now or in the future? So that was the one question that I asked. But there are many other really good ones in there, and there are some not so good ones. So if you have any questions about what your expectations are for 3.9, what you expect to see, anything like that, make sure you post it in the thread, and feel free to leave a link in the comments, and I'll check it out, and hopefully all you other guys will check it out as well and give the worthy ones an upvote. So guys, that'll do it for this week's video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I enjoyed making it. So I can't wait to see you guys next week and really go over this 3.9 SCL. I'm very, very excited for it. So guys, everyone have a wonderful week, and hit that subscribe button, like button, all that jazz, and I will see you guys next week.